I'd first like to thank the organisers of this event for putting on this very impressive action today, and also for inviting me to speak. Thank you. I'm honoured to be here with you because congratulations are in order. After over a year of your campaigning, the so-called asylum seekers have been moved out of that hotel, and we're very grateful for that. Everyone here deserves praise for your sterling commitment to the safety of the people of Falkirk. And it's good to see that being rewarded in such a victory. However, we all know it is a bittersweet victory because we do not know to where these so-called asylum seekers have been put. You know, it was the Prime Minister was interviewed last week, and he said he wanted all the country to play their part.
Stop.
Exactly. Well, do you know, we have a message for Mr. Andy Burnham. No, Mr. Andy Burnham, we do not want to play our part. We want to get them gone. You know, these people are not, for the most part, so-called vulnerable people fleeing persecution. And even if they were, we cannot embrace all the misery of the world. It's for these people to stay where they're having their trouble and to try to make their countries great again. However, these are people who are taking advantage of our overly tolerant nature and the fact that our country, since 1951, has been stuck into something called the UN Refugee Convention, which legalises what would otherwise be considered illegal behaviour. So normally you would think crossing the channel in a dinghy, breaking into the country would be illegal. But if you're doing it under your UN Refugee Convention rights and you say you're doing it to claim asylum, then guess what? You become legalized. Essentially, you get put into these hotels, and at great time and expense, we have to look at every single case and then make a decision. And that's just simply no longer sustainable with the huge numbers that are coming in. So we should not be putting any of these people up at our expense. Not here, not in Falkirk, not anywhere. We should not be putting them in hotels or MOD premises or HMOs or farming them out throughout the country into new builds in towns and villages. We should not be giving them refugee status. We should not be giving them benefits once they get refugee status. We should not allow them to bring in their families once they get refugee status. We should not be giving them so-called indefinite leave to remain after they've been here for 5 years. And we should not be giving them citizenship. All these things they get once they get refugee status. Instead, we should be leaving the UN Refugee Convention. We should be closing the doors. We should be putting a lot of them in prison for breaking our law of entry. And we should be deporting, sir, massive numbers, including all the failed asylum seekers. And don't let anyone tell you that these things cannot be done. It only takes the political will. So no, Mr. Burnham, we do not want to play our part. We want them gone, not just out of Falkirk, but out of Scotland and out of the United Kingdom. And so, Mr. Burnham, let's be constructive here. Here are the 3 things that you need to do to stop the boats. And you know what? If he did these 3 things, he'd probably be in power for a generation. 1, we must remove the incentives to cross. People come over because they know that if they get refugee status, they have won the golden ticket. They know that refugee status confers legal residence and automatic access to the entire benefit system on the same basis as British citizens, including access to social housing. And they can then bring in their families as well once they get this refugee status. And once they get that, if they know if they hang around for 5 years, they can apply for indefinite leave to remain, which they will get. And that guarantees their presence here forever. And they also know that if they want, they can become a British citizen after a further year's residence. So all these routes to benefits, to family reunion, to indefinite leave to remain, to citizenship, these all need to be firmly closed to anybody applying for asylum. There should be no route to any of these things as a result of a grant of refugee status. If you get given it, then you can stay here, but you have to pay your own way, and you can't bring in your family, and you don't become a British citizen. But reducing these incentives isn't enough. Think of the carrot and the stick. Removing the carrots, the incentives isn't enough. There also has to be a stick. There also has to be punishment for those who continue to cross anyway. That is, we must provide a physical deterrent, something which puts fear into them so that they don't do it. And that is the fear simply of going to prison because you broke the law. And if you break into our country illegally, you should simply be fast-tracked to prison. And we can build Nightingale prisons, as I like to call them. And believe me, we wouldn't have to start sending very many of them to prison, and we wouldn't have to do it for very long, because they would all quickly get the message. And that would be the strategy to break the gangs, to break the gang masters. It would simply be, we can't send any more boats over there because they're going to get lifted out of the channel by the Royal Navy and they're going to get taken to His Majesty's prison. So that's the second thing, they provide a deterrent. And the third thing is we must ensure the inevitability of deportation. People must know that they will always end up back where they started from. They will be deported either at the end of their prison sentence or they'll volunteer to self-deport. And that means they can get out of prison early and we'll help them fly home, never to be allowed back in again. But one way or the other, they need to know they're going home. Do these three things: stop the incentives, send the channel crossers to prison, and ensure deportation, and we will stop the boats in short order. Now, of course, all of this requires us to leave the UN Refugee Convention, the convention which legalises the current system, because it's that outdated convention which sits at the bottom of all our problems. As I said earlier, under the convention, if you enter by dinghy or by lorry and you say you're doing it to claim asylum, then you will not be considered to have broken the law. Well, that has to change. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy, a crazy state of affairs, due entirely to our membership of a 1951 convention, which was out of date as soon as it was passed, because 1951 was before the age of mass communication, before the age even of jet travel. So it's a completely outdated convention, and we say no longer can the political necessity of the present be held hostage to the ideals of the past, ideals which are long past their sell-by date in the modern, fast-paced world. And when we do leave it, when we do leave the convention, and we could suspend our membership tomorrow if we wanted, then we can declare channel crossing to be illegal and we can send people to prison instead of sending them to hotels here in Falkirk. And all the policy solutions that I've just articulated will become easily possible. Folks, thank you for listening to me. Let me thank the organisers of this event once again. It's been a pleasure. God bless you all. Well done for everything that you've done. God bless Scotland and God bless our wonderful United Kingdom. Thank you.